Hey y'all, this is the legendary Sonny G, Sonny with an O, not a U.
And this is your boy Sterling Moody.
And we are Effa Podcast.
Effa Podcast.
And thank you for listening to us. So make sure you tune in to Effa Podcast, a real N-word podcast where we talk about
real N-word stuff.
That's it. So make sure y'all tune in.
Effa Podcast.
Effa Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Effa Podcast. I am your host, the legendary Sonny G, and with me, we are discussing funny con stories, just slash experiences. I just wanted to. We talked about cosplay on a previous show, and we talked about just being black and nerdy on a previous show. But there are always, whenever I join Facebook groups, there are always these stories where I'm like, I wish I was there for that, or I wish I seen that. Like, where was I when that was happening? And so I invited Greg Burnham, who is an author, illustrator,
comic book writer, not an illustrator.
Not the illustrator, because the illustrator is
Marcus
Williams, another dope person who I'd like to get on the show one day. Greg, you the what is it? The Tuskegee Hares, right?
Yeah, Tuskegee Hares.
I always say it with the A. I cannot not pronounce the H. I don't know what it is. I have to say hair.
Just do what you have to do, man.
But the Tuskegee Hares, that is I think I wrote to you and I told you that is the first time I've ever had to threaten my daughter to stop reading. Like, I've never had to threaten a child to stop. Like, I came in a room one day and it was like 11 o'clock at night on a school day, and I'm like, could you put the comic book down? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. And then I came back 30 minutes later and she's still reading. I'm like, listen, okay, I don't have to tell you again. And I'm like, I'm threatening a child to put
stop
down,
reading.
Yeah, to stop reading. Like, something feels wrong about this, but that's just a credit of how good the writing is. Like, if a child would rather face the wrath of their parent than put your book down, that's pretty indicative that you are a dope writer.
Pretty much.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you being on the show. And then Walter Dean, who actually caught a ride with somebody. And I was supposed to reach out and I was supposed to ask you, and I just didn't have the nerve to do it, and you still showed up. So
it was a happy mistake.
It's just like Bob Ross says, there's happy accidents.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So I am Walter Dean of Dean's List. I am a cosplay designer. Hopefully you've seen my work.
I'll guarantee you, if they've paid attention to any of the big dope cosplays that have happened around the area, because you're really intricate with what you do. Every time
I've done some intricate things.
Yeah.
It's weird because I do all these intricate costumes for everybody else, and then all my stuff is like thrown together.
Man,
because I don't have time.
Boo.
This is like I don't have time.
He's not telling the truth.
I don't have time to put into my own costumes, and I'm not gonna say they're thrown together. I definitely put the time into it, but they're more simple.
You don't feel
costumes.
You don't feel the sense of satisfaction from your costume that you get from completing somebody. Like, when you complete somebody else's, you're like, that's it. This is my masterpiece, and then yours, you're just like, oh, that's crooked.
Well, it's just I do all these intricate costumes, and then my stuff is just. The stuff that I make for myself is not as intricate. So I feel like I'm cheating myself. So I need to come up with an intricate costume to make for myself.
Hey, you know what? You might just have to take a year off from everybody else. You might just have to tell everybody else, hey, until I get mine down, yours is on back order. You may have to do that. And then joining us again is Lee Willis, who is a dope photographer. And I'm sorry, Lee, what's the name of the it's not Dr. Laws, right? Is it Dr. Laws?
Yeah, it is. I'm Lee Willis, cosplay photographer, general photographer, and the founder of Dr. Laws Photo Lab with Dr. Goodnight, aka Jeff Hall, and Latoya Simmons Royalty Cosplay. So thanks for having me on. And I gotta say, Walter, you're lying. Some of your stuff that you wear for yourself is intricate, and it doesn't matter if it's intricate or not, because when you rock it, you kill it anyway. And I've got photographs to prove that.
People come on the show, come on radio shows and just try to be so modest. Like, well, I just threw it together. I just happen to have stuff lying around the house.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's like a whole chainmail chest plate and everything. Shoots real photon beams.
A whole aura following him around.
Right.
Like Rick James glowing.
Right.
Talking about it's simple. Whatever.
Yeah.
Walter
It's
Dane,
everything I had to not interrupt you and call you a liar. it took everything I had not to call you a liar, Walter. Like for real.
He's just being
Well,
modest.
thank you, I guess.
But gentlemen, so I want to ask. So how long have you been doing cons? Not even just Dragon Con, just cons. Period.
Conventions. I guess maybe like since like 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fairly recently.
Yeah.
In the convention game.
Yeah. Not until I actually started. I started off writing children's books.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hit up a couple of conventions because Marcus had got a little foot in the door. So I would just come with him, and we would just kind of do whatever. And then when Tuskegee Airs like really hit and kind of went viral and all that good stuff, then we started like getting out, in the streets. So now we do about 25 to 30 conventions a year. Yeah. It's a lot.
And I've seen on your page like people actually cosplay as the characters from your books.
Yeah, man. Mind blowing. Have you heard of BlurredCon?
Yes.
You need to be there. Everybody needs to be there. Shout out to Hilton. But yeah, at BlurredCon, so there's a young lady. She's like 8 years old. Her name is Violet Verse. You can see her on Instagram. She does all these cosplays. We see her at a lot of conventions because we do a million conventions every year. So we're at BlurredCon, and she walks up to the table, and she's so adorable. I'm used to just like high-fiving, so I high-fived her. I'm talking to her. Everything is cool. And my friend, she's sitting beside me, like punching my leg. And I'm just, And then it dawned on me that she's cosplaying one of my characters. And it wasn't like it was one of those where you can't really tell.
Right.
It was spot on. But it was like, you just don't expect it every single time. So we've had like maybe 15 to 20 people cosplay, like New York Comic Con, like all these different conventions, San Diego. But you never expect it. Every time you see it, it's just like, what are you doing? Why you look like this person? Because, you set out to do these things, right? And
you don't think it's going to reach that far.
Well, you want it to, though, right? It's like, when you come, it's like, man, I want to, blow this thing, make it go worldwide. But then when you actually see it go worldwide, it's like, you don't know how to act because you wanted it, but you wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
I get that. I get that. So as far as the conventions that you've gone to, what's been the most mind-blowing of one of your characters brought to life that you've seen? Is it that? Is it the girl from BlurredCon, or has anybody like just really taken one of your characters and you've been like, oh wow?
There's a lady. So I did this panel at one of the conventions in North Carolina. We do a ton of conventions in North Carolina, and met this lady, and she was sitting like in the front row, and we're talking, just doing what we do. And I look over, I notice there's tears. Like, oh no, I don't want to make a lady cry. So, afterwards she kind of stuck around, and she was like, I just want you guys to know that you inspire me. She was like, I wish that I could have seen this when I was a kid. I think at the time she was like 59 years old. And she was like, I just want you to know that I'm going to cosplay one of your characters. And so we're like, all right, that's sweet. We hugged her, high five, get the information, follow. And so then a few months later, we was at BlurredCon. She just walked in, and she like put it down. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get a jacket that sort of looked like she made a jacket that looks just like the jacket, the pants. She had the guns, everything. And again, it's like you're just floored, and we didn't really know, how to respond to it. We were just like bugging out. We were like little kids. Last year, New York Comic Con, a young lady, we see the family, at different conventions in New York. And the young lady, she was 6 or 7 years old. And probably another one that was really spot on. She comes up, and that one, it was like the last day of New York Comic Con. That's like football practice, like 2-day football practice. You're tired, ready to, give up on life. And then we saw that, and it was like, man, I was like literally trying not to tear up because she was so happy to be wearing it. You know? We make a point to make our characters, because there's, it's comics, there's so much flesh being shown, and so many of certain, images that are already out there. So we make a point to kind of do the opposite. You know what I'm saying? We don't want people, because our characters are kids. We don't want people
Right.
over sexualizing or any of that. So when you see it and you see people that are proud to wear it,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's amazing, man.
That is dope. And so Lee, you have taken some of the most spectacular pictures I've seen of cosplayers. Who is somebody that you remember that you just had to? Matter of fact, most recently, who is somebody you've seen that you just had to shoot?
That's a. Oh, sorry, I had you on mute again.
It happens.
I'm trying to think. I would just say it wasn't necessarily maybe one person, but sometimes there are groups or images of people that I just have to get. And I'll just say, like, every year at the Wakanda shoot, like, I will always be a part of that, because that's, like, I think one of the most amazing, creative, festive, most colorful photos that I ever take. And I just see, like, all the joy and the pride that people put into their costumes, and I just always try to hope and make sure that I am able to translate that into all the photos. And the same thing can be said for me with being part of the Black Geeks of Dragon Con photo shoot. Now, have you already had Channing on already?
I have not. He's actually going to be on the next show.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, plug for Channing and David. Just being a part of that one is always amazing. Even when I'm not the official photographer for it, like, I always want to be around and be a part of that, because that's just, just seeing so many people of color, Black folks in costume is always such an amazing thing. And so I can't really say that there's been somebody in particular that I've been like, oh, wow, I have to get a picture of that. But it's always, I will say this, I always want to get pictures of my friends, and, trying to do a better job to make sure that I'm getting all my friends who do, magnificent cosplays, including, Walter, Royalty Cosplay, Dr. Goodnight when he cosplays. Because actually, Marcus, Greg, I don't know if you realize that, but Jeff, I think, is maybe one of the first people who actually did Colonel Mars, one of your characters.
Yeah. He was the second, and we were hurt because we didn't get to see him in it. I saw the pictures, but Dragon Con is wild, son. It's wild.
You'll miss it if you blink.
Yeah.
If you blink, you will miss it.
Shout out to Jeff, huge supporter also, and he did a really great job on the cosplay too.
And then, so speaking of doing the Wakanda photo shoot, how did y'all even get the barbecue Becky chick last year? Like, when I seen that, I said, I was like, first off, who was the lady who thought to make that even a cosplay? And then, how did she find the group of Black people? Like, all of that just came together too.
Right.
Like, how did that come about?
Too well. Well, and this is just to the best of my recollection. Channing can tell you, the full detail, but it started off in the Black Geeks of Dragon Con group at Dragon Con when the whole barbecue Becky thing was going on. I think someone photoshopped the actual barbecue Becky into one of the group photos, and a lot of people cracked up about that and thought it was funny. And I guess Channing, someone had maybe contacted him or something like that said that they were thinking about doing it. And it just fast forward, no one really knew that she was actually going to be coming. Like, no one was sure if she was going to show up. And she actually did come. And, most people thought that it was a pretty funny, thing to have happen, kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. And, Otis Casey, who was the official photographer that year, got the photo, and it literally went viral. It went everywhere.
Everywhere. I remember seeing it everywhere, to the point where I was like, did the real barbecue Becky make an appearance? Like, is that what happened?
Right.
That is so crazy. So, Lee, we're going to let you go, but thank you for joining us. And is there anything else, any other experiences particular to cons or anything that you've experienced that you want to share with us?
I've been, like, I think you asked earlier, how long have we been conning? I've been going to con since, like, 2005, and I have just been amazed with the number of people of color, particularly Black people, who now go to conventions. It's much more of an accepted thing. I think there's a lot more, comfort and acceptance of people of color at cons. While it's maybe not perfect, it's definitely much better than it was. And I'm just a proud participant in all of this stuff. I'm a fan of everybody. So all of y'all just keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, we're a fan of you too, because like I said, if I miss a specific cosplay or something, that I can just tune in to Dr. Laws and see, what I miss, or somebody who I feel just has like a really dope black cosplay, or a black person cosplaying anything. So thank you so much for your time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
no problem, no problem. And again, shout out to my partners in Dr. Law's Photo Lab, Dr. Goodnight, and Royalty Cosplay, because it doesn't happen just with me.
especially shout out to Royalty. If I wasn't in a relationship, I proposed to her, but that's a whole nother show. That's another show for another time. But thank you. And then, so Walter,
Yes.
so what? I guess I want to ask you, what cosplay? So you were talking about like how you do these intricate cosplays for people. What's one cosplay that you've really looked at and you've been like, yo, I did that. Like you just were so proud of yourself that like you almost didn't even want to give it to him. Like, take that off. You can't leave with that. I've got to put it on display or something. Like,
I guess my costumes that I guess, most proud of, I did the Marvel Becoming, and so it was weird because I got an email from Marvel asking me to make these costumes, and I was like, huh? I was at all for a minute, but I ended up making costumes for the Marvel Becoming series. They did the Marvel Becoming Dora Milaje, and I recreated two of the Dora Milaje costumes for that series for them. And
a lot of work went into those character designs. So to recreate that is like, that takes a lot of paying attention and detail.
Yeah, so since I did this project for them, they sent me all these pictures and things that everybody else didn't have. So I got to see the whole costume from every angle and everything, and it's just amazing how intricate those costumes are. And just shout out to Ruth Carter for coming up with these costumes, because they are truly amazing. But just putting all those pieces together and seeing that. Seeing those costumes come together, and then watching the Marvel Becoming episode and seeing all that come to life, I'm like, wow.
And knowing that you did that.
I did that.
That is super dope.
Not my brainchild, but I was really proud of my recreation.
And so, because the end result, it doesn't matter that it wasn't necessarily your costume design in the beginning. It's the fact that you designed the costume that was seen on the actual program, that was seen on the actual
Right.
Becoming. And like I said, a lot of intricate details went into the original costume, and you had to mimic those.
Yeah, so trying to figure out, what fabrics are going to give me the best look, what design is going to actually work on, a human body, since I'm recreating what I'm seeing on, pictures and everything. But I have to say that project was really challenging for me and very rewarding, and I was excited to see the finished product.
Dope. And joining us on the line, we have C.S. Sherman. Are you there with us?
Yeah, happy to be here. How's it going?
It is going pretty well, and we are just talking about con experience. The official title of this is a funny thing happening to con, but really it's just con experience. We've been talking with Greg Burnham about how proud he is to see his characters being brought to life, and Walter Dean has gotten to see his costumes on display in worldwide media. And so I just want to ask you, with what's a really dope con experience that you've had?
Two come to mind. One was my first con. I went to Dragon Con in 2008 for the first time, and it was overwhelming, but in a good way. There was just so much And I'm a nerd, but even I'll admit I have some blind spots in my nerd knowledge. So knowing that there's this one place where I can get my digital media and comic book fix, but then kind of pick up some more stuff from anime was really cool. So yeah, it was just overwhelming my first time there. I remember trying to do everything that I could do over the time there, and trust me, my body and my mind and my
You'll go
pocketbook
crazy
all
trying to
paid for it.
do everything on one
Yeah,
Dragon Con
exactly.
weekend. Yeah, you'll drive yourself mad. That's
Yeah. So that was lesson learned. And then probably 2014, or maybe I think 2014, when we did the first Black Geeks of Dragon Con photo shoot. Just a little small thing, had like 30 people showed up at Hardy Ivy Park, but it ended up being a lot of fun. Some new friendships were formed, and now it's turned into this thing that's become kind of like the Black Geek family reunion. So yeah, those two definitely stand out for me.
awesome. Awesome. So, and I'm sorry, you said this before. When was the first time you went to Dragon Con?
First one was 2008.
Do you notice how different it is from 2008 to 2019 now, just seeing like the number of not just black people participating, but like, so I've been going since like 2011, and before it seemed like black people were only comfortable cosplaying other, black characters. And now
Right.
I'm seeing more, people don't care what color or even what gender a character is. If they like it,
Right.
they're gonna cosplay it. So I've
Right.
seen where I've seen black guy Chun Li, which is
hmm
something I never thought I would see before in life, but here we go.
I did Huntress.
Yeah.
See?
Oh no, it makes perfect sense. You're right. It's changed a lot over the years. I mean, I know a guy, he cosplays as Psylocke, black guy, cosplays as Psylocke, and it's really good. I saw about 2 or 3 guys doing Domino this year.
Right.
I've seen a lot more people with disabilities at Dragon Con, and obviously the LGBTQ community, they've increased also. But just in terms of cosplay, yeah, I think more and more people are starting to just say, for lack of a better term, fuck it, I'm going to cosplay what I like.
Exactly.
Black women no longer think that Storm is their only option. If they like Ninja Turtles, they're going to go as April O'Neil from the cartoon,
Right.
and they're not going to have a problem with it. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, if they want to be Emma Frost from X-Men or Jean Grey, actually there was a woman as Jean Grey's Phoenix this year at Dragon Con, and she was a black woman.
I seen a
So
guy.
yeah, I think as it's
Phoenix this
become more
year.
mainstream, yeah, I think you're seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's so. Any con stories in particular that when somebody asks you like, so how was Dragon Con, you just like, oh, let me tell you that, like, you have any of those stories? Anything that comes to
Sadly,
mind?
not that many. I think that's just because I'm going to Dragon Con with the wrong people. I will say, I think one of my other favorite memories was my first time cosplaying at Dragon Con. I went for a couple of years, but I never really cosplayed. I'm not a professional cosplayer by any stretch of the imagination. But I want to say it was either 2012 or 2013. They did the Bunny Hutch party, and they actually had a Hugh Hefner competition. And so I just said, you know what, just as fun, I'm going to break out this, I'm going to find me a smoking jacket. I'm going to be Hugh Hefner just as fun, just kind of wander around. I ended up winning the freaking competition.
Walked in the party. Look,
So-
I just walked in the party to get dipped. Walked out with a trophy. One of those moments. huh?
Exactly. I was just going in there, take some pictures, maybe enjoy an adult beverage or two. And next thing I know, when they announced Best Health, they called my number. I was like, oh, all right then, this cosplay thing is kind of fun.
Dope.
So that was definitely one. I think the best part about that year was that was the same year my cousin and her then boyfriend, now husband, showed up to Dragon Con. And when they called me and I went out to meet them, I'm still in my Hugh Hefner getup, and I'm just thinking, man, how is this going to play out in the family reunion program? Or when my cousin talks to my parents and they ask if she saw me while I was in Atlanta, how's she going to explain that one?
That you were dressed like the creepy uncle who keeps hitting on people who don't know that that's a niece?
Exactly.
That's pretty much what Black Hugh Hefner is. Hey, that's your niece, That's. But it's dope that you even had to think that way, because you didn't. All you did was set out to be a really dope, accurate cosplay, and now you're in public. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. In public, this doesn't really translate, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good news was they came and met me at Dragon Con. We met in the Hyatt Hotel. So there were other cosplays around, so that gave it some context.
Okay, so you weren't totally, looking out of place. Y'all were looking out of place as a team.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. If anything, they probably looked out of place because they were not in cosplay. They really were just coming by just to say, hey.
Right. What you doing at a family reunion just dressed like a family member? Don't you have an actual costume that you can put on? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Is there any way that we can get in contact with you on social media?
The easiest way is actually through the Black Geeks of Dragon Con account. We're just on Instagram at DC Black Geeks, as in Dragon Con's Black Geeks. Same thing with Twitter, same account. You can follow me there. I'm doing all kind of updates. We're posting a bunch of photos and videos from our shoots. I think Walter Dean's actually a couple that we're going to be posting. He's been showing up there for a couple of years now. But, yeah, definitely look for us on Instagram and Twitter.
Absolutely. And thank you for even having that group, because I find so many different not only is it a great way to connect, but it's also, if you missed somebody at Dragon Con that you're like, oh man, I really wish I got a chance to meet them, you can go on a Black Geeks of Dragon Con group and be like, oh, that's who that was. Let me send them a message and tell them how great I thought their cosplay was, or see if they're doing anything this weekend. So thank you so much for even thinking to bring people together in that group.
Hey man, thanks for the support. It's a lot of work. Thankfully, I got some really cool people who are helping me with it, and as long as my body, my money, and my mind holds up, I definitely want to keep doing it.
Well, we hope that they all do hold up. Thank you so much yet again. And gentlemen, Greg, where can the people find? I know we've got social media. We can plug the actual site where they can buy stuff. You can plug whatever you want. I'm just gonna let you do you.
Tuskegee airs everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have my own Instagram is Greg_Burnham BURNHAM 7. That's on Instagram. I have a new comic that I just did a Kickstarter for. We got funded the other day, but we still got like 20-something days left. The Search for Sadaka, and there's a Facebook page for that. Gotta send shots out. Marcus Williams, Marcus the Visual.
Marcus is
everywhere.
Dope. I can't wait to have him on the show.
Yeah, we're gonna just drag him up here, down here, because we far, but it's all good. TuskegeeAirs.com if you're trying to get comic books, posters, shirts, and all that good stuff.
Excellent. And Mr. Walter Dean, cosplay extraordinaire, where can the people find you? And if they want a realistic Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman costume with the actual leather and stitching,
let me know.
Where do they go?
Let me know. Okay, so I'm Walter Dean. You can meet me on social media at Dean's List. That's Dean's List, like you're at the school. List is LYST. So Dean's List on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And then, of course, I have to plug Cosplay Your Way. Hope everyone is following Cosplay Your Way, because we want everybody to feel comfortable being able to cosplay their way, no matter what their sex, age, race, anything is that. Don't let anybody tell you can't cosplay the way you want to.
Absolutely. You should be free to the way I look at cosplay is, when I look back at old pictures of like funk bands and Rick James and stuff, and how they had like the space goggles and the football pads with I feel like if they could do that, I can be Shredder.
Absolutely
I can be Shredder. Yeah. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to Effa Podcast. I am the legendary Sonny G. Sonny with an O, not a U. I'm not a stripper. You can find me everywhere, Trap Nerd Sonny. Also, Effa Podcast and Trap Nerd ENT also have our own Instagram and Twitter. If you want to contribute to the show, if you like the show, please go to patreon.com/trapnerdent. Other than that, y'all be cool like how y'all be cool.
Ooh, is it too late for me to say something I forgot to say?
What's that?
Just, we talking black nerds, black geeks. There's some great conventions. I just wanted to send a shout out. I know we mentioned
BlurredCon, WakandaCon.
If you get there, BlurredCon, it's absolutely amazing. There's another one. It's little known. But it's huge in Harlem. It's at the Schomburg
You had me in
Museum. Yeah. It's they do it every weekend, but right before the Martin Luther King holiday in January. It's a little cold, but nobody cares because it's amazing. It's called Black Comics Fest, and it's another one. Like, they're actually starting to get more cosplayers too, but like it's pretty much got like a lot of the top independent black comic creators in the United States. Beautiful experience. Like, I'm talking about empowerment. People come in there to actually support, and it's an amazing show as well.
Dope. What I got from all of that is when you see black people conning, just follow us. Just wherever you see us conning, just come and support and con yourself.
Because it's a whole different experience. Like, I went to HBCU, Grambling State, and I remember like walking on the campus and being like, yo, this is different. Like a lot of the things that we automatically worry about as black people, you don't have to worry about those. Now, there's still some things, but
you just said something like really dope, and I don't even think you know that basically those cons you mentioned are like HBCUs for cons. That's
basically.
Yeah, and Jabbar knows he's gone to BlurredCon a couple times. Have you done? You did it once, right? Yeah. So you know the feeling. Like
a couple times. I just didn't make it this last year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start getting black convention sweaters like they have HBCU sweaters. I'm like, you went to Howard? No, I went to BlurredCon. Yeah. Y'all be cool like how y'all be cool.
Thanks, man.
This is the legendary Sonny G, and thank you for tuning in to Effa Podcast. You can also go ahead and follow us at Trap Nerd ENT on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also go to our Patreon if you enjoy what we do and make a donation, patreon.com/trapnerdent, and be on the lookout for future events. Sign up for our email list at trapnerdent@gmail.com. Again, thank you for listening. Y'all be cool like how y'all be cool.